It always amazes me how almost no matter how much I turn down the volume with these specific controllers when I'm using any kind of headset, it can still be quite loud. Accidental cool guy moments. It's always funny when those happen when you're not trying to actually do something badass, but it just happens by accident anyway, and you end up looking cool as a result. I'm trying to think, when was something like that happened to me? Oh yeah, there was this one time, it was back in the Conservation Corps, and these guys were throwing random junk into a garbage can, and they were constantly missing. And I was telling them that they were doing it wrong. That if you want to get it into the garbage can, you gotta throw it in there like you're angry at it. And I was just messing around. I was expecting myself to miss, and I was like, you gotta be angry. You just gotta be all like, ah! And I threw it. Pretending like I was angry, but it actually managed to go in. And I was surprised. The guys who saw me do it were surprised. It was awesome. Summer's here, so are your groceries. Yeah, please.
Thanks for coming. Sinestro and the majority of his ultraviolet corps are entrenched here. We have to stop them before they reach Earth.
Ice King 21. Doesn't even use ice. He's no Ice King. More like a Quantum Prince. Whoa, either this guy's speed hacking, or we're doing that much damage. It's unfortunate how it's only through speed hacking that's how you could get speedsters in this game to be able to run fast enough to look anything like how Flash runs, at least in DC lore.
Once the ultraviolet latches onto any fear, it automatically takes control. Keep your mind sharp.
Dude must have a lot of skill points. And the fact that he has two psychics by him who have not even gone away yet mine don't last that long.
I've learned to live with my fears and embrace life.
Such strength of will
Kiki's Chicken Place.
Such delicious food.
Should just called it
Let the
called it
ultraviolet
Chicken
bring
Palace.
them to life.
Sounds fancier.
Face your fears.
Imagine
I'm trying
your
to think,
mind
what's the
is
place I
a
wanted to
villain.
order from?
Reinforce your
Smash
body
Burger.
by
There it is.
get that on.
Fine. Dang it! I hate these stupid things. Interesting how the Lex Luthor construct get Lex Luthor is the final boss of this particular mission. I'm guessing in exchange for position to do a lot of area of effect damage, they decide to sacrifice having a lot of health. You know, I just saw all the green and black they were wearing, and I really just thought they were supposed to be like some kind of Green Lantern. At least their costume was supposed to be. It's a good thing whatever power you choose doesn't lock whatever powers you have. What the ah! And it's happening again. It's those stupid energy domes, wherever the frick they're supposed to be. Just doing way too much damage. this guy have no healing items?
Never doubted you. Now let's take the fight to Sinestro and send the
Oh, shut up,
ultraviolet
John.
back.
Never went through this much effort to be able to get the enhanced version of gear. The fact that I have to just get the enhanced Malika Andrea gear, it's annoying. Seriously, who's the idiot who thought that was a good idea? In order to get this gear from these people, you gotta get this currency. But to get the enhanced or elite version, you gotta do the difficult as all heck elite mission. Difficulty should even spike that much. Because it doesn't take long until they make a new episode where the gear of the next episode surpasses the gear of the old episode.
Now you will face your worst fear made flesh.
This isn't like you, Sinestro. Serving someone else, sharing power?
A good leader always shares power, and Perpetua has promised to reward me with even more.
Like, looking at the way the guy is moving, I can't help but think that he's speed hacking. Not that I mind or anything. I don't mind speed hackers as long as if I get to team up with them and it makes these elite missions so much easier. But I never got anyone who was speed hacking during any 4 to 8 player elite missions. Very unfortunate. This guy just has a lot of precision, which makes dealing with all these constructs, it makes it so much easier. So as far as boss fights go, Sinestro is definitely the easiest. Like, it still has its difficulty, but it's still a lot easier. Seeing as how you just got to be able to get to John Stewart in time to shield yourself from any kind of blast Sinestro fires at you, and be able to deal with his constructs. Dang, nabbit. Hey, does that guy not have any shields or healing items? What the hell? What's the rally's remaining thing supposed to be? Like, what does that even do? Is that supposed to do anything? Need 5 of those, 4 of those, and 3 of those. Now I just gotta avoid that whatever the hell that was, that satellite strike at all costs. I'm just glad they don't make the dang construct super easy or super difficult to kill. Although I still say they should go down in one kill, but oh well. There was this funny post that's from Reddit that I was watching on one of those Reddit videos. I watched it on some like r/ and others like MK, where what was it, Domino's? Yeah, it was Domino's Pizza, where they decided to do something charitable, where because of the fact that the name Karen is often associated with women who are entitled and whatever the case may be. So they decided to be charitable and say how you can get a Domino's Pizza for free if your name is Karen. And some woman decided to complain, saying, I don't like Domino's Pizza though. And on r/ on his channel, he responds with, that's exactly something you would expect a Karen to say. And MK, one of their guys responds with, there's just no place of you people, is there? Because I'm thinking, if your name is Karen and you're getting free pizza, seriously, it's freaking free. All you have to do is probably just ask them to have your order cooked or made a certain way. If you're nice enough about it, then they'll probably cook it exactly to your specifications. And yet somehow that's still not enough. You still gotta complain, talk about how you don't like Domino's Pizza. Like, who cares? You get free pizza just for having the name Karen. Don't complain. It's like one guy was explaining that as far as getting free food, you really should not complain unless the food is something that you absolutely cannot eat. Especially if you get an allergic reaction to it. I always thought, yeah, that makes sense. Unless it's something you're allergic to. If it's not something you're allergic to, or if it's not something you can't eat because of beliefs, religion, or just simply you just don't really like it, and whatever the case may be, then you should not complain.
You're done, Sinestro, but I have unlocked the ultraviolet.
And for that, you will still be rewarded.
Like for me, for instance, I would not complain about someone offering free food unless there's pork in it. Well, there's plenty of other foods too, but I usually tell people pork because that's the most common. It's one of the most common other foods I cannot eat that's made into food. All these ABC gum. It's still weird to this day, though, the sheer number of people who will get on my case and criticize me for not eating pork. And when I tell them it's because of my religion or it's because of whatever, it makes some of them just go even crazier over it. Hot dang! You should not be allowed to do this much damage. Seriously, the cooldown for some of these moves is ridiculous. Like this, whatever soda cola you use to heal yourself, the cooldown should not take that damn long. The cooldown for using certain amenities or certain items such as pets, allies. Well, the one for the allies when you call them in don't really take that long. But the one for using pets, sidekicks, satellite strikes, those should not take as long as they do. And it's only as I play this that I'm starting to truly acknowledge why I need to get more skill points instead of just relying so much on getting stronger gear and raising my combat rating. Which for me just makes it even more complicated. Like now, it's not even just my it's not just my combat rating, how high my combat rating is, but I gotta have the skill points to compensate to go along with it. Like, y'all just can't make things easy in these online games, and that sucks. Haha, I thought you had me, didn't you? Man! But seriously, does this guy not have any healing items? No soda or colas of himself? Because I know he's Quantum, and Quantum doesn't come with healing abilities. It's not a healer role, it's a controller role. You gotta have something. Oh, come on! What makes Sinestro so difficult is, well, let's see, he himself isn't too bad, but the parts where he sends those constructs, yeah, you got to be careful of those. Like, they go down pretty easy, but the sheer number of them, and they can gang up on you if you're not careful. Not to mention all those traps around the area he leaves behind do so much damage. So yeah, so those stuff, but they come in a sequence, so you can take care of them before they can overwhelm you too. So they're not too bad. So that's why I say Sinestro is the easiest boss to handle in this whole thing. Still with difficulty, even especially in Elite, but not as bad compared to the others. Although usually in most games, as far as elite gear, a lot of it is usually a lot of elite or enhanced gear is just the regular gear, but just shiny. I don't get it to be not red. Huh? I did not know I had the material for it on this whole time. Nah, I was thinking they could add it. How would it look if they tried to add a so-called Martian skin in this game? But then again, the Martian skin never really had like a texture to it that was ever unique from other races, especially with their shapeshifted ability. But the Balakandra headpiece, let's see, the headpiece and the entire set in general is pretty nice to have. Speaking of Malika or Mars, someone did well, they called it a motion comic, but there was really no movement or anything. All it was special sound effects and voice acting added over the comic book panels. Still, it was pretty good. I forgot the YouTuber who did it, but they did it some years ago. And the way he did the voices is not, well, it wasn't just him. I can't remember who he said. He said he had other people he worked with to do the voices. And whoever he got to do the voice of who the fuck was I thinking of? Malafa'ak, John Jones' brother. They did such a good job. They made Malapa such a douchebag. And I'm thinking to myself, man, makes me all the more glad they killed him off at some later point. Nightmare. Like, obviously he's trying to be Nightmare, but oh well. Yeah, the time between when you summon your ally and then finally attacking, the amount of time that takes is annoying. How'd I run out of energy that fast? So let's see, on its own, the renown points I have will be about 50 each. I wonder how much with the renown booster, how much it would give me. Mm. Zero sugar Gatorade. Man. Because I'm thinking if you're trying to go on a certain type of diet, then don't drink diet drinks like diet soda or zero sugar stuff like Gatorade or whatnot. Just drink the juice. Juice itself that's more natural but isn't heavy on the sugar when made fresh. And especially just the more water. Although it's always funny to me how much my grandma would get on me about drinking other stuff besides water. Where if I would ask, oh come on, how did I take that much damage so quickly? I would ask for something, or I'd say I'm going out to get me a soda, and my grandma would say, you only need H2O. And I'd tell her, what about all the stuff you drink besides water? You were having soda for dinner just earlier. Of course, a lot of parents, if not damn near every parent, is like that. Where they're hypocritical in some way about something. Dang it! Where they'll say how you don't need this or that, or you shouldn't be doing this or that because it's bad for your health. And you point out to them, well, what about this or that thing that you do? That's also bad for one's health, but that doesn't stop you. And they'll say how it's okay because whatever reason. I can't remember if I ever had any of those moments with my mom, but it was definitely with my grandparents. Like my grandpa always saying, with age comes privilege. And my grandma, she would get on me about staying up late. And this was actually in my late teens when I was actually 18. But I moved in because I moved in into their house around 18. And I was still expected to go to bed at a certain time. And I'll be all like, what about you, grandma? You stay up so dang late. Sometimes I end up going to bed sooner than you. And her excuse was always, you can't do like I can. Which did not explain a damn thing at all. Oh, that was... It's so weird when people do that. Like, they have an excuse to get on your case about something or to tell you what to do. And when you point out the hypocrisy, all they can say is... Well, I don't know, some form of rules for thee, but not for me. It's just one of those things. About how they can because whatever reason, which is kind of narcissistic in a way. But you can't because whatever said reason. Ooh, at $1.18 just to add some cheese? Come on, man. Let's see, no pickles, no lettuce, no tomato, no red onion. smash fries being what, 12? Yeah, 12 cents more. Sweet, can I order a drink? $7.55 for Oreo cookies and cream shake. $38. Are you kidding me? All right, what if I take away the drink? Still, it's $33. Hey, I wonder how much I'll get if I order off of Uber. Oh, I thought that said superstar with Chinese combo, but no, cheese combo. It was good. In fact, it was so good, maybe I ought to order again. Wait, for I hate how they put it in such small writing. For 3 orders, I have to order 3 things for that promo to count. Dude, where do people get all these crazy costumes from? It's almost like with Tekken. Because in Tekken, I see people online in some of the most ridiculous costume sets. Oh, look at all this damage we're barely doing to the sucker. And it ain't enough that he's got the dang LexCorp turrets, not to mention those source fragment constructs that he sends out, all the aerial bombardments he sends after us, and his own LexCorp employees coming in to fight. Seriously, this is just doing too much for an elite mission. I knew I should have just streamed Red Dead. Gosh dang dong nabbit. Like, okay, seriously, why can't this stuff ever be in alphabetical order? Yeah, let's see. Shake Shack. This stuff isn't bad at all, actually. Ooh, Red Robins. I like those Red Robins commercials. They're hilarious. And Wendy's. Seriously, whoever it is that's maintaining Wendy's online accounts where they be talking mad shit for people is just hilarious. One of my favorites is still when someone asks where they can find the nearest McDonald's, and the Wendy's account replied back with a garbage emoji. Mr. Beast Burger. Seriously, I think it's cool how he has so many products that he's able to sell in his name. Seriously, y'all couldn't put on a freaking search tab? I did not dodge in that dang direction. Good game. Dude has the nerve to call himself Alpha Lex Luthor, has all that power given to him by what else was it? Perpetua, all that power, and yet he still needs to summon all these things just to fight us. Yeah, that's Lex Luthor for you, quick coward. Seriously, why couldn't these things just go down easy, like the dang constructs Sinestro sends to fight? Hey, Baskin Robbins, they don't make burgers there, do they? Last time I checked. Yeah, I'm just gonna give up on that. Screw you, John. You ain't doing nothing to help. See how this one goes.
You're weak. You don't stand a chance.
Only increases it by 62. So that only increases it. So that only gives me 124. And I highly doubt that's enough for now, at all. I would need just another 60 points just to be able to finally get it up to 1,000.
Feel the might of the Amazon.
And even then, I don't know if that's enough to finally get me the gear set I'm looking for. I think in the future, as they keep updating this game, I think what they're gonna do is that from now on, instead of you'll have to specifically go to the House of Legends to get to new mission hubs. Is that what I was thinking? That was weird. Stupid controller. There we go.
Glad you're on our team this time.
A player raid mission. Man, what's this dude being low? Our armors are badass. But seriously, take the Scarab and give it to someone who's already very powerful, like a Martian or a Kryptonian. How much of a boost in power would that be? So many Superman and other types of wannabes all over the place. But still, they look cool.
Spot has the perfect sightline.
Maybe I'm just jealous. Cooperative renown. Seriously, it's just the primarily the headpiece I want. And why does it have to be different levels of renown? That's stupid. Man, no, I already did that. I did that last night. Give me something else. Well, yeah, I did it with Xenarax. But I don't want to be constantly doing the exact same raids that frequently. Toasty. Hey, speaking of toast, I need to hurry finish my dang order so I can get this dang food. Seriously, I don't like how when it comes to the food industry, the way things have gotten over history that the fuck's wooden pew. That's gotten to the point where people have this unfortunate habit of expecting or even demanding tips from customers. Whether they're a delivery driver or a delivery driver or restaurant worker, and if you don't tip them, then they will, or any kind of job that allows for tips, that if they don't get a tip, they'll either do something with the whatever product you're supposed to handle, and they'll try to encourage other people to do that. Like food deliverers, the number of people I've seen where they'll take someone's food and refuse to give it to them, even walk off with it. And I'm just waiting for that one video where some idiot does something like that, only for them to get their ass whooped by the person who they were supposed to deliver their food to. Because I'm thinking you definitely deserve that if you think you're entitled to a tip from people. Or if you're the kind of person where you're working in something like, say, a restaurant, and you want to get all mad because the person whose food you're handling won't tip you.
And you shall.
I don't like these booster bundle things. They never really give you exactly what you want. Only for 1,000 for 70 source marks. You gotta be kidding me.
You have excellent taste.
What the fuck? What? Oh, you son of a bitch! At least I got replay badges out of it, I guess. Fucking hate this game, man.
Everyone in tip-top shape over there?
Over where? Breathe a cone of frost breath, damaging and giving frostbite to all enemies at max affinity level. Passive ability, tank roll pun, using a breakout ability gives you and all allies. Hey, I was reading that. Wonder why they didn't add Superman as an ally in the first place. Seriously, almost any gear related to Superman specifically, this game really does its damn near best to hold out on it.
I sense the mind.
Either waiting to specific events, or they'll sell it for a certain amount of time, and then after that time, they'll never sell it again.
It's an ambush. Sorry to butt in, but
But
someone's trying to
yet
activate
we
the
got
defense.
Batman themed gear galore all over the place.
The Batman who laughs is seen.
Man, Batman Who Laughs wanted to get captured and imprisoned here. It's part of his plan. Stay far.
That's just way too much damage. Buddy, I'm right freaking next to you. None of y'all see that I'm down? Oh well, when you're that focused in the battle, you can't really blame anyone. Hey, I don't care what anyone says. I'm keeping the scarab armor on for as long as possible. How am I the one going down so fast? Why? I have such bad health. I really need to get skill points quickly. Unfortunately, it gets to a point where to get more skill points, you gotta accomplish feats. And in order to accomplish feats, you gotta. Some of them are so obscure. Some of them do require team effort. Others you can do by yourself, but they take either so dang long. It's always with the online games, and it's part of their effort to find things for people to do to keep them interested in playing the games, at least in online games, for as long as possible. Of course, you get games like Red Dead, GTA, and Saints Row that has plenty for you to do offline when playing by yourself. But there's something I heard recently. I hope it's just a rumor or it's just the developers of Saints Row, their idea of a joke, where supposedly they are removing the customization option as far as the character's gender and voice. I heard, yeah, there's someone who actually made a video. I didn't watch it, but I saw the thumbnail for it, where it's causing huge controversy, and it's supposed to be one of those woke things where they're specifically removing the ability to customize the character's gender and voice, all to, I don't know, what was it? Like there's some other kind of controversy they were supposedly trying to avoid, so as to, I don't know, something in the name of equality. And I'm like, that's just like a lot of those other groups who claim they're all about equality when really they just want everything for themselves. They don't want actual equality, whether we're talking gender, race equality, or whatever other form of equality. They just want everything for themselves, everything that benefits them and only them. Because I'm thinking, because if that's all true, that Saints Row for the reboot is removing the gender voice customization, then, like, if they're really doing that, then they're freaking idiots. Because then that's creating inequality, and it's creating the controversy that's bothering a lot of people. Because one, the people who have been longtime fans of the Saints Row series, because that's one of the things that makes Saints Row so fun, being able to customize your character to make them truly unique, make them your own. Like, yeah, they had that before where the character could only be male, and that was in the very first Saints Row game. But again, that was the first one. Long before Saints Row 2 came out, and before we got the other Saints Row games, we didn't know what they were going to be after that. If anyone knew there was going to be a Saints Row 2. But then comes Saints Row 2, which gave you the option to change not just the character's skin color and voice, but also their gender. Which continued on into Saints Row the 3rd, as well as Saints Row 4. So naturally, even if it is a reboot, we expect to get the same thing from this new Saints Row game. So if some idiot over there, whoever is developing the Saints Row reboot, decides, hey, let's remove this thing, let's remove this one thing that's been a staple thing in Saints Row for the sake of equality, Yeah, that would definitely work. That won't have any. That won't backfire in any
Must
way.
finish the job.
My programming will protect me.
Because again, that having something like that in a series for so long, then taking it away for some stupid reason, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're really just looking to piss off the whole fandom if that's how you decide to do things. How am I dying so fast? Is the gear that I'm using that much crap? But anyways, what's another series that's done that? Where you create a custom character who interacts with everyone around them. I'm trying to think what other series is known for that. I can't think. But that's with any game series that has a very well known feature in that game, and you decide to take it out for whatever weird censorship reasons. Like for example, look at Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe. Now, by all means, they kept fatalities, but they also wanted to keep the DC heroes true to their comic book origins, and that's why they have heroic brutalities instead of fatalities. So they didn't take away fatalities. Wait, yeah, they should just be able to. Oh, sage your piece. Thanks. But what was I saying? Anyways, with Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, they didn't take away the fatalities. They just heavily reduced the amount of blood and gore. Oh, watch it quickly, Black Dragon. They severely toned it down to keep the game a T rating since they were crossing over against DC Comics. And obviously, not too many people like the idea of seeing Superman get torn to pieces, except for those who maybe hate him that much as a character. But screw those people. But anyways, again, it was something that was toned down, not removed. Now, can you imagine how much more pissed off, how much more angry people would be at MK versus DC if they did, in fact, remove the fatalities? That's why, even though Ed Boon himself he himself admitted he wants a Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter. However, Street Fighter is a series that's always been at its highest rating, a T rating. So they would have to find some way to work around the whole fatality thing, the blood and gore that Mortal Kombat has become to that Mortal Kombat's always known for. And if they remove that, then they're definitely gonna piss off the Mortal Kombat fans. Heck, they'll probably end up pissing off the Street Fighter fans too. That's why certain things, certain features that's always been in the game, you just don't remove. If it's something that's been a part of the series, even if it wasn't part of the first game, but it becomes part of the second or third, whichever later games, and you decide for whatever reason, because you want to be socially conscious or respectful to other people by removing this thing, all you're doing is just alienating the fans, especially the longtime fans. Like so many games and so many companies keep trying to do that, essentially alienating the longtime older fans for the sake of attracting new fans, thinking, well, the old fans, they don't care about this stuff anymore, so if we remove this, it won't cause no problems. I'm thinking, who do you think is going to be the first to buy this game? That would also be like if... What's another gameplay feature in a series that if they were to remove something, it would piss off people? Hmm. That'd be like if no, that's not really a long time series. What's another one? Like, I don't know, I guess Marvel vs. Capcom. If you decide to remove hyper combos for whatever reason, or like Doom. Cause like for instance, if you make a series like Doom, but then make it kind of like how they made that weird Doom adaptation film, where they're not fighting zombies or they're not fighting demons, they're fighting yeah basically zombies and mutated monsters. No demons, no mention of hell whatsoever. Now people admitted that Doom as a film on its own, it was actually pretty good. It's pretty fun to watch, which it is. It's just not good at all as an adaptation. Well, a lot of people said that if you were to just remove or change the title to something else entirely, then you wouldn't even know it was an adaptation of Doom. Thus, the expectation it comes with wouldn't be so bad. And again, a lot of people admit it's a good film, just not a good adaptation. Now imagine not only it being an adaptation, even if it did try to stick closer to its roots, but they changed so much about the series that that not only it doesn't just resemble nothing like the original product or the original series it came from, but also end up pissing off fans a lot. I don't know how that would affect Carl Urban or Dwayne Johnson's career. But man, the people will probably hate them just for being in that film to begin with. So overall, whoever the people developing Saints Row, seriously, they should not even be thinking about removing the ability to customize your character. Gender, voice, and all that other good stuff. Because you can't remove that stuff and claim you're all about equality if your first mindset is to remove that thing that would actually give it equality. You can almost say the Saints Row series became not harbinger, an advocator of sorts for gender equality when it gave from the Saints Row 2 onwards, started giving people the option of customizing the character's gender and voice, and ethnicity, being able to customize all of that. Seriously, you can have a character have a female body, but give them a man's voice, and even if, and you know, like stereotypically, a lot of people associate what a person's voice would sound like with a certain ethnicity. Like how they would stereotypically say about someone's voice sounding like a black man's, but you give it to a white person in a game like Saints Row. So you could do stuff like that. So that's true. That's some definite creative freedom right there. All the more reason why they would be absolute idiots to remove that. It's almost like I was just thinking that'd be like I was thinking about like how if you were to take certain qualities like from Wolverine and replace them with something, but then I remembered how they temporarily replaced them with a female Wolverine. Of course, it wasn't really too bad since it was Laura Kinney, and she was in comics. Well, even though she made her first appearance in X-Men Evolution. And then it was later she made her debut in X-Men comics, or Marvel comics in general. And she's actually a fan favorite, a very likable character that people enjoyed her story arc, where she went from simply being a female clone of Wolverine to truly being a unique character on her own. So naturally, who else should take up the mantle of Wolverine after his death, or supposed death, than Laura herself? Definitely not his son. What is it, Dakin or Draken? I think it's Dakin. Even though Dakin did take the mantle of Wolverine at some point when Norman Osborn created his Dark Avengers. Man, that was so weird. The whole Dark Avengers run. Like, what was even the point of the Dark Avengers? And how? Because shouldn't the public have known there was something off about the Avengers when they decided to name themselves the Dark Avengers?
Once may not have been enough.
That was just so weird and oh, come on. But anyways, that whole Dark Avengers run was just weird. Like, their costumes looked cool, but yeah, it was weird. So that's definitely how you have a character either in retirement or dead, and you replace them with some other type of character, and you don't piss off the fans. Like, yeah, you're gonna piss them off just by having this character supposedly killed off, but at the same time, at least the person who's taking up their mantle and following their legacy is a character people like what they did with Wolverine being replaced by Lore for a while. Of course he comes back. That's always been a thing in comics, but especially with Marvel and DC, where characters die, but then they supposedly come back to life in some way. Stuff like that. It's rare to have characters, at least for Marvel and DC, it's rare to have a character die and never come back. Especially when it comes to legacy characters. Those who've been in comic books for so dang long. But what was it? Oh yeah, a bad example of killing off a character for whatever reason and having them, even if temporarily, replaced by someone, would be in the case of Iron Man, where from what I remember he wasn't dead, but he was just in an injury that left him in a coma. I can't remember what the event was. I think, what was it, Civil War II? I think it was Civil War II, where Captain Marvel caused some kind of injury to Iron Man that left him unable to operate for a while. So what the hell is this? Oh. So anyways, Iron Man being unable to operate for a while, so he's forced into a short-term retirement for a while, and before he returns, some black girl named, what was it, Riri Williams? She ends up taking his place for a short while, and it just so happens that she, as a child, is so smart she can make armor rivaling that of Iron Man. Now that's definitely a bad example of someone taking up the legacy or mantle of a character who's either injured or is dead or whatever the case may be. This character who has absolutely no association whatsoever with this person. Like, it would have people thinking, who the hell is this random punk? Who's this asshole? Who the fuck is this bitch coming up in here and taking up this person's name and costume things, claiming to be this character? Now, it was very risky of them when they did something like that with Miles Morales. But the thing with Miles Morales is that it's so weird how they did that whole process. Because, well, they played it safe by having it happen. This is back when the Ultimate Comics was still a thing, before they finally discontinued the Ultimate Marvel line. But still, this was when Spider-Man and Ultimate Marvel Comics had supposedly died. Therefore, there was no Spider-Man operating in the Ultimate Marvel universe until Miles Morales comes in and he takes up the mantle after getting bitten by a genetically altered spider, which gives him the same abilities that Peter has, plus unique ones of his own, including camouflage and what's it that he calls it? Some kind of electric, bioelectric blast, kind of like Spider-Woman, but still operates differently. So again, that's an example of playing it safe by having it take place in an alternate universe, in a separate comic book line. So that way, you have this new version of this character who's not related to the original, who's a different gender or skin tone from the original, but you still also have the original from the mainline comics. So that way, you don't alienate the fans of the original while drawing in new fans of this new one. So that way they can easily decide, hey, I don't like this version of Superman or Spider-Man from this line. I'm gonna go back to reading I'm gonna stick to mainly this one from this line. In other words, give them options. Instead of going out of your way to replace this one entirely, to remove them. And that's how they did it for Miles, and that's why for characters like, not just Miles, but also Val-Zod. And it's only adaptations outside of comics that they decided to do this thing where Miles who becomes another Spider-Man ends up... Check me out, I'm huge! Because originally Miles started out in the Ultimate Marvel Universe, but then there was the not Civil War. What was the name of that event? Because it was named after another, oh yeah, the second Secret Wars event. After the second Secret Wars event, Miles, who was originally from the Ultimate Universe, actually ends up getting transported, I think it was by the Watcher. He got transported by some cosmic entity to the main Earth 616, in other words, the main Marvel Universe, since the Ultimate Universe ends up being destroyed. But not only is Miles finally transported to the same universe as mainline Peter Parker, but he's also transported there with his parents, because originally at some point, now in the comics it was his mother who was originally killed. It was only in the game, in the Insomniac games, where it's his father instead who was killed. But anyways, his mother being killed at some point in the Ultimate Comics prior to... I keep thinking Civil War, but no, prior to Secret Wars. Yeah, I don't know. Why did they even call it Secret Wars? There was nothing secret about that whole event. Anyways, his mother was killed in the Ultimate Comics prior to Secret Wars, but upon the incursion being stopped and Earth 616 and the other Earths being restored, as a reward for his efforts, Miles of the Ultimate Universe is transported there. His mother is resurrected, so now he's in the Ultimate Universe along with both of his parents. So ultimately what I'm saying is I like how they just did that whole thing with Miles. And I also mentioned Val-Zod. With Val-Zod, they did the same thing where they introduced this, he ends up being more than just this black version of a superhero, where the hero of that universe, also the original whoever, ends up dying. In this case, Superman, but it was on Earth 2. So the Superman of that Earth, after the New 52, ends up dying at some point. I don't think they ever made it clear how exactly he died, but the point is he's dead. And so this other Kryptonian, who happens to being Kryptonian, he has all the exact same abilities as Clark Kent. Thus, they decide, hey, maybe he could take up the mantle of Superman. And again, they don't just make Val-Zod essentially a black version of Superman. where he almost behaves and acts the exact same way. No, instead, Val-Zod, unlike Superman, Val-Zod is actually Superman doesn't really advocate for violence, but he doesn't have a problem with handling things with his fists because he knows how often that it ends up being required of him, having to fight his way out rather than resolve things peacefully when it comes to enemies. Whereas with Val-Zod in the beginning, he was very much a pacifist, to the point where you would almost think he was a coward. And also he had a phobia, a fear of outdoor spaces. I forgot what that's called. But anyways, because he spent so much time locked up in a small room somewhere for so long that he was comfortable, to where just the idea of being outside in open space, he had a phobia, so it terrified him. So that extreme pacifism to the point of absolutely refusing to fight, even against enemies clearly invading Earth, and the fear of open spaces, those are two qualities that Clark Kent never had. But eventually he does get over that, where like he's still very much a pacifist. He would rather solve things with words and through peace. But eventually he becomes less hesitant to engage in battle. It's just that he doesn't become a blood knight or become a maniac about it. He doesn't look forward to fights or any other physical competition. And eventually he does get over his fear of outdoor spaces. And so, like I said, there's other perks to his personality that separated him from Clark Kent. That's truly making him not some black Clark Kent. And the fact that they did it in an alternate universe, so it's an alternate universe, so obviously people who understand alternate universes, alternate timelines and all that stuff knows how that works, where it's an alternate universe. In other words, it's going to be different from the main universe you're used to. Where the Spider-Man of one universe may be Spider-Woman, Spider-Girl, Spider-Kid, Spider-Boy, or something like that, as opposed to being Spider-Man in the main universe. So I think more comic books, if they're willing to do stuff like that, explore, or if they want to be so-called progressive, yeah, do something like that where it takes place in an alternate as far as with comics or any kind of written literature, have it take place in an alternate universe, so that way you can decide if fans will like this new version of whatever character, or whether they're literally meant to be an alternate universe version of this other character, or someone taking up the mantle of the original. So the audience you're trying to generate may get into it or not. The fans of the original won't get too mad, or shouldn't get too mad, because they still have the original who still has these comic book runs made of them, and you don't alienate either audience. As opposed to doing something like that in the main comic books that people are following, where you kill off this character who's been around for so many years, only then have them replaced automatically with this nobody that no one's ever heard of before. That's why after what was it? After the original Civil War, where Captain America was supposedly killed, and really, that was it? I thought that was gonna be longer. Oh, there it is. But anyways, dang, I forgot my train of thought. Oh yeah, after the original Civil War event, Captain America was supposed to be killed, and thus the mantle of Captain America was taken up by his longtime friend Bucky Barnes. Or even when Sam Wilson himself even like both obviously were temporary until the original Captain America came back. But during the short times they got to be Captain America for a while, Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, these two guys who are obviously not Steve Rogers, they themselves becoming Captain America for a limited time, it didn't bother me, and it certainly didn't cause a lot of controversy with fans overall. It didn't hurt Marvel's image, simply because these guys are legacy characters in of themselves. Both of them being very, very close friends of Captain America, whereas Steve Rogers himself would personally entrust them with his shield and his identity as Captain America until either he comes back or if he stayed dead for like permanently. He wouldn't mind either them being the ones to take up his mantle, as opposed to a character dying and then being replaced by this newcomer that no one's ever seen or heard of. That where if you do it that way, obviously you got to take a lot. You're taking a lot of risk, but you still got to be very careful in your approach. Of course, maybe they could just stop killing off characters and having someone else take their place for a while. Oh man, I gotta take a quick break, and I shall be back in about hopefully 5 minutes. Man, it's always so weird whenever I get these invites to these chat rooms. I'm thinking, what would you want to invite me? I am not even part of your league or group. Like, league invites, And group invites, I understand. Obviously for the league, because you want more people to join your league and contribute. And group invites, because you need to get a group together to do a certain mission or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish. Oh right, gotta go talk to my good old pal Steve Trevor. You know, a lot of people talk about how, especially in the case of stuff like Injustice, where Wonder Woman is constantly just made as a rebound girl for Superman. In the case of the absence of Lois, which is especially the case for Injustice, where Lois unfortunately died, and that face special, I'll take that. For in that one, Lois ends up dying, and Superman ends up in a relationship with Wonder Woman. A lot of people blame Wonder Woman for Superman's descent into villainy. Where it's like, yeah, obviously Superman made that choice and did a lot of fucked up things that led to him becoming the evil dictator that he is. But the fact that Wonder Woman strongly encouraged it, it just showed that's why a lot of people are so mad at her, especially in the Injustice universe. And I don't blame them, because she heavily encouraged it. That's why it was so fitting when Batman and Lex Luthor of the formerly regime Earth. Oh, thanks. Anyways, when they got in contact or brought over the Justice League of the Prime Earth, and it was Prime Earth Wonder Woman who ended up kicking Regime Earth Wonder Woman's ass. Too bad come Injustice 2, she gets free and starts doing the same thing yet again. Where almost every time Batman does something, she tries to step in saying, oh, well, that's a bad idea. Or, no, we should do things this way. No, we should go with my way because your way is bad because I just don't like you. Stuff, some BS like that she kept trying to pull. And man, was it annoying. Like how she keeps claiming that what she and Superman did was to bring about peace, and Batman pointed it out that they didn't bring peace, they started a war. A war which has led to the death of so many characters. Like supposedly Captain Atom and Martian Manhunter,
Well,
even though Martian
I guess
Manhunter
it's a
himself
party
shows
now.
up in Injustice 1. Yeah, as a DLC character, but still he shows up there as a playable character. It definitely led to the death of Billy Batson and Green Arrow. That's the thing I don't get is how the heck it was supposed to be that Captain Atom has died, because that's happened before. I think at least either in other media, but I don't know how often that's happened in comics, where that, because basically his body is just a material that's created to hold in the amount of energy, because he's literally just living energy. Him and Major Force, living energy, and the metal that makes up their bodies, Dilasteel, it's made specifically to contain that energy, contain their sentience. There we go. So technically Captain Atom shouldn't be dead, because that's, well, at least it has happened with Major Force. And I don't know, is Major Force, can he be considered as powerful as Captain Atom? Because I always thought he was like at least slightly weaker or less powerful. Well, even if that is the case, regardless, Major Force himself ended up with his body being blown to bits and destroyed outright plenty of times, only for him to come back to terrorize everyone around him. and that was in the mainline comics, where he's had that multiple times. Therefore, he cannot die due to him being living energy. But I guess just to create more drama and create a higher death rate, that's why they had him listed as being among the dead in Injustice, in the Injustice universe. Still, in my opinion, that's BS, but oh well. Same thing with Martian Manhunter. It's always the guys whose strengths are said to be at equal, if not slightly greater than Superman.
If it's not
It's always
based in
those guys who
science,
keep
I
getting
don't trust
disrespected the
it.
quickest. So quick to be taken out. Which is weird how they do that, because there was at one point in the comics where Superman ended up fighting Wonder Woman, and at first he was holding his own, but Wonder Woman ended up turning things around, getting angry and whooping his ass, and making him just look sad. Which I thought to myself, and how is it that he eventually became a dictator when someone like Wonder Woman is able to do that to him still? Then again, now that I think about it, it's not just me, but it's a whole lot of other people who do not like the Injustice universe. From the comic book tie-in that they did, or the story for the whole game. I guess what made it cool at first in Injustice 1 was that it made it that the story mode goes out of its way to make it so that you know it's taking place on an alternate Earth. But you still have the main good guys who are still able and willing to do all these good things. They're still portrayed as they usually are, as opposed to being portrayed so drastically like in Injustice, where a lot of them, including Superman, become insufferable assholes. In fact, that's why Injustice Superman, some people call him Dictator Superman or High Counselor Superman. Others have stuck to calling him Asshole Superman, because he's an asshole. No one likes him. And it's one of those things where you definitely cannot blame Batman for having all his contingency plans against Superman and other members of the League. But you gotta admit, the gameplay and the playstyles they create for certain characters, like making Swamp Thing a grappler, who would have thought? Making Black Adam something of his owner, even though in the comics he's constantly shown typically fighting up close and personally. I don't know why they decided to make him a zoner in the Justice games. At least he's still fun to play. I hate during these PvP moments where my energy refuses to generate at its usual fast rate. Man.
You lose.
Over here balancing me. Fuck you.
I guess the cat's out of the bag.
Oh, sweet, my food's here. I'll be right back. Well, good, as long as you enjoyed it. Oh, that hurts. All right, time to get down and busy. Huh, I remember the smash burger being bigger than this. Hey, at least they included napkins this time, unlike the other places I ordered from, unfortunately. It's unfortunate Smashburger is one of those places you can't order from late at night, because they don't do late night deliveries. But the number of other restaurants that do, even them as late as 2 o'clock in the morning. They can bother for this food after you. Please let it be enough to keep.
Excellent. Mr. Luther said to expect some specialists on the scene. As you know, there's an unknown ship that crashed.
Specialists, eh?
Unfortunately, Star Labs security got here before us. Secure their research stations for us, and don't let them near that ship.
Man, can't Star Labs and Electrical ever just get along? Or they take their battle somewhere then that's not in a crowded area? It's funny when you say that, where someone's like, can't we all just, and you expect them to say, can't we all just get along? But no, instead they end up saying, can't we all just, like, either take somewhere else or do that instead? Where it's like, it's almost slightly encouraging the violence more, just not in that particular area. I remember the first time I got that was from watching an episode of Martin where Jerome and Cole were about to get into a fight, and it was right inside a convenience store, and the owner of that store stops them and said, have we not learned anything from the riots of the 1960s or whatever? And he's like, can't we all just take it to the store across the street? I don't know why that. Wow, I know why it was very funny. By him not saying can't we all just get along, but rather can't we all just take this obviously violent moment just somewhere else, not here. That's a funny line. Dang shields. No, as far as eating burgers and fries, I always did have, I think, yeah, even as a kid, I had this habit of eating one first, then finishing the rest of the other. I think as a little kid, I think it was the burger I'd eat first, then the fries. Whereas as an adult, it's the fries that go for first, then the burger last. Even if I have other stuff with the burger and fries, I'd eat all the other stuff and the fries first, and have to save the burger for last. Of course, there's really no harm whatsoever in doing it that way for anyone. But there was someone who was talking about in a Reddit video.
Nice work. Let's see who
Where
or what is in that ship.
Not so
I think they
fast,
say it was like
guys.
as a sign
We need to
of
talk.
someone being unintelligent or just in general.
There a cat?
When someone is supposedly like they claim they're trying to help you,
You'll change
or
your
do
tune
you
real
a
quick
favor,
once you learn why I'm here. Check
but
your
then it
messages.
becomes obvious they're not trying to help you or do you a favor. They're straight up trying to control you
Someone has broken into my
through,
and demanded to see the two of
what's the term I'm looking for?
This mystery person contacted
I want to say subliminal or subtle messaging, where they're being subtle about their suggestions.
This is a plan.
And again, it's like it eventually becomes obvious they're trying to control you for whatever creepy reason. But obviously they end up failing, so they become more and more desperate. But people who do that, where they're trying to control your every action, control your life for some reason, and they're not your parent, caretaker, guardian, whoever. Man, Smash bakes some good fries and burgers. But anyways, people who be doing weird shit like that, and they're supposedly a friend, or they're a friend of a friend.
He looks just like
In other words, someone who should be trying to control you in no way, shape, or form at all.
Forgive me. I'm Alexander Luthor. And while my
And so you can't help but wonder what makes them want to control you so badly. But anyways, they usually always start with...
Loquacious twit. I'll show you how I deal with threats.
Well, it's not even just as far as you eating food, but it's always it's the more subtle ways. Like, say for instance, someone you're going out with and you have pets, and even if it's not even pets, but say you have children, and they try to get you to cut ties with that person, this thing that you're associated with that they want you to stay away from. And then eventually you realize it's not that they have an issue with this thing or that thing specifically, or they don't like those kind of people, kind of pets, but it's more of they just want to have control over you, and their way of asserting control is by trying to take away this thing or this person you care for. So stuff extreme and that could be very traumatizing like that, to the more subtle stuff like the food you eat, the hobbies you're into, like sports, where almost every time you start getting into that stuff and they don't like it, so they'll criticize you for it or judge you for it very harshly. Or sometimes again they try to be subtle, or they say, no, you should do this or do that instead, it's better, or whatever their argument is. And people like that are just creepy, where the more you resist their attempts to control you, even if you don't know that's what they're trying to do, but still what they end up doing, and the more you resist and deny them that control they want over you so badly, the more crazier it makes them act, and eventually the more crazier you realize they are and how desperate they are for demanding that control over you.
If what you say is true, then this is a problem for the Justice League.
Now that I think about it, there was a guy who I used to work with in the Job Corps who was like that.
I'm here because an immensely powerful group of super beings called the Crime Syndicate seized control of
where I figured, compared to others, I figured he in general was someone who legitimately wanted to help others, or see others not suffer in life the way he did prior to coming to the Conservation Corps. I keep saying Conservation Corps, but no, it was Job Corps I went to first, then the Conservation Corps later. But anyways, and so that's, but unfortunately for him, his way of doing so was trying to enforce control of the others, like a dictator. Like, he thought himself a leader, but he was definitely more of a dictator.
The situation sounds dire.
I don't like the idea of leaving our Earth defenseless, no matter what the reason.
I guess whatever he went through as a kid was just so traumatizing, that's why he feels like he has to help others, keep them from going through the same things he went through.
Our Earth is well protected. I vote we go.
This Earth may refuse to acknowledge that I'm its greatest.
He just unfortunately went about it all the wrong way.
I wouldn't hold your breath, Luthor, or step out of line.
Then it's settled.
Oh, damn. Anyone else got the feels right now?
Leave it to Cyborg to ruin the moment by asking that question.
You gotta love it when the
Now that we're
band
here, I
gets back
suggest we
together.
split up. You two, follow me to the courthouse. It is the main source of corruption in Gotham City.
What was I about to say? Oh yeah, plenty of people I've met over the years who try to enforce control over me simply because they're either jealous of what I got going on, so they just try to take those qualities away from me somehow. So that'll fail. Or people who try to assert control over me, as well as others, just because they're narcissistic and full of themselves.
Get out of here, scum. I didn't ask for your help.
Like the sheer number of people I met like that in so many environments, from college, and I don't think how many other people were also like that back in Job Corps actually. Like before I went to college when I was in Job Corps. I can't remember. Just that first guy I mentioned, he in particular was one such person. But definitely a lot of people I met who were like that back in college. Especially this one woman who went there in general. She was just a straight up bully. Even if she never thought herself that way. And I guess I think with her what it is that she grew up just being used to having this authority over people, especially those younger than her, telling them what to do or to behave or react a certain way, and she would get her way. Because she said she did work as a teacher's assistant for like elementary kids. Those are like just elementary students, obviously way more easily influenced compared to full-grown adults. Oh, excuse me.
Cut it any closer, owl man?
I had to make sure your money transfer cleared. Your protection isn't pro bono after all, and neither is your
The hell's pro bono?
Now, if you'll excuse me, someone's behind the payments.
Good, he's gone. Move quickly.
Pretty bold move for a wanted criminal to show his face in my city. I see you found some more costumed flunkies. Did you tell them what happened to the last bunch?
This time is different. Your tyranny ends today.
I don't have time to play games. I have an entire police force to take out my trash for. If you don't mind, I have a re-election gala to plan.
I like the name they gave this thing. AM-BV1L. Obviously, when you first look at it, it says M Evil. Give a robot a name like that, you're not even trying to hide its intention. Kind of thing. Yeah, this is this is 3 bosses total for this whole mission. That guy in that awesome mech suit that we fight over near the Kemp farm. And there's Alexander Luthor in Lex Luthor's office.
If removing it gives us a foothold,
and then that drone we just bought.
Thank you again. But this is only the beginning.
Aww. I need to activate that, not amendment, I keep forgetting what the heck it's called. Yeah, let me head over to my base. Got me a new follower, Gritty Past. Who does he think he is? Batman or something? Only ever had the orbital strike? I like the whole story dynamic I created for Captain Cosmic and Xenarax being half siblings, paternal half siblings, whose father just happens to be a cosmic deity. Of course, the thing with when you create a story like that where one sibling is jealous of this current sibling because for some reason this sibling gets more love and attention than the other, that is to say, the one who's jealous got no attention from their parent at all. In this case, both of these women's father. But obviously, being a cosmic deity, being the kind of guy who's not afraid to get down and dirty with any beautiful woman he comes across if he feels entitled to it, makes you wonder, how do you resolve such conflict when technically there's a whole bunch of other children that he has fathered. Yeah, that makes me think like Baki the Grappler. Yujiro Hama said himself in the, what was it, during the, yeah, I think it's in the second book when they introduced Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad Ali was introducing Yujiro to his son Ali Jr. Excuse me. And Yujiro was saying how Ali Jr. when he grows up should make for a good opponent for any of his kids.
Let me just power these up. And what do you?
Because it was around this time that he impregnated. I cannot freaking talk. I forget the name of Baki's mother. But anyways, Yujiro ends up impregnating her around that time. So he knew eventually he would have a child who would grow up to be, well, no, not even the same age, because Ali Jr.
Well, hello there.
Because he's supposed to be officially 19 right now in this series. Ali Jr. was supposed to be in his early or mid 20s during the second book. Excuse me. Pray for villains. Yeah, pray that they change their ways and stop being evil. That's for one. You know, when I was streaming this last night, I was talking about how if I were to take any of my characters and replace the villains who show up in Spider-Man No Way Home, how obviously Xenarax would take the spot. Nah, I don't like it. At least not on her. Don't I already have these? But yeah, anyway, Xenorax with her ability to fly, having electricity, taking the spot of Electro. Only the main difference is that unlike Electro, who was all just energy blast throughout that whole film, whereas Xenorax, she doesn't really spam electric blast quite as much. She's tattered two-tone. But anyways, she's more than willing to fight up close and personal. Part of what makes her such a great opponent for Captain Cosmic, because Captain Cosmic relies entirely on her powers, and her hand-to-hand combat skill sucks. Just like Injustice Superman. In fact, that's supposed to be part of why he lost to Prime Earth Superman when they brought him over. Because not only was Prime Earth Superman, well, yeah, but see, Regime Superman was out of practice because he spent so many years as a dictator with no opponents to fight. So he was out of practice and out of shape. And also with that, the Injustice comics definitely went out of their way to show that specifically Injustice Superman had little to no technique and was definitely almost entirely just all raw power, no skill, no tactic, no finesse. Whereas Superman, typically in comics and adaptations outside of comics, has shown plenty of that. Finesse, tactics, skill, where a situation where obviously just hitting the opponent as hard as he can or blasting them with heat vision won't work. He's got to strategize, go for the weak points.
So you see, Mammoth is a child. I can make him do anything I want.
Let's see, a combination of a huge lack of skill or tactics and years of not having anyone to fight throughout the 5 years of Injustice, and just definitely no skill in hand-to-hand combat, and relying even more on his powers than compared to other versions, is what caused Regime Superman to lose.
Mostly, but I sense that he should avoid Dr. Savannah. We're the fearsome five. Founding member or not, we should dump Dr. Light and get Shimmer back.
It's amazing how this is what Jinx actually looks like in the comics, which is nothing at all like what she looks like in the Teen Titans cartoons.
Demons, cultists, and heroes. We should have picked a less congested nightmare.
Like seriously, not just her appearance, but even the way her powers work is so different between her mainline comic self and her cartoon version.
Watch the ground in this realm. It pulses with an untapped power.
And she's supposed to be from India, if I remember. Like she's supposed to be Indian, yet Jinx in the cartoons doesn't have a stated nationality.
Simon is a power-hungry jerk. I like him. If Mammoth steps on my foot one more time.
In that case, Jinx should get herself some steel-toed shoes. Seriously, considering how ridiculously strong Mammoth is, without still being strong enough to be Wonder Woman tier. And Wonder Woman tier, that's like a tier or two lower than Superman, Martian Manhunter, and a few others.
Every time Dr.
But man,
glares at me,
Mammoth
I
is ridiculously
stomp on his
strong.
foot. He glares a lot. I didn't mean to step on Jinx's foot. She's nice.
I like how Jinx and what was the other one? Dr. Light. They both complained about Mammoth stepping on their foot. Yet Mammoth himself addresses both times. Like when he talks about stepping on Jinx's foot, you can hear the remorse and sadness in his voice. Whereas when he talks about Dr. Light, he talks about it so casually, saying, whenever Dr. Light glares, I step on his foot. He glares a lot. I know Mammoth hasn't had like a huge change of costumes or overall designs throughout the years in comics. Because if I remember his initial appearance, he was still big, but his costume was different, but he also kept his hair short, and he didn't have a beard. But then at some point later, they changed that to where he now has a beard, beard and sideburns, long hair, in addition to the costume change. But at the same time, looking at how Mammoth looked, excuse me, in the earlier comics versus the later redesign he got. Yeah, his initial design, he looked a lot wider. Like he's still ridiculously big, but it's like in a lot of his appearances after he got his redesign, he looks a bit slimmer compared to earlier appearances from time to time.
You know, you are my favorite.
Can't fool me, Cersei.
Once the Victory Stone is charged, I will have untold power and the Amazons will bow to me. Oh, hello, dear. I was just, rehearsing a play. It's a Greek tragedy.
Jesse, one of Trigon's sons, is collecting envy energy to use in a ritual. You will take some of the energy for our purposes. Cersei will update you further when you arrive in the wastelands of envy.
The cult that worships Trigon's prettiest son, Jacob, is extracting lust energy from the fools they've captured. We need that energy. Get over to the ruins of the Amusement Mile. Cersei will contact you there.
Now, why would you ruin a place like Amusement Mile? People love that place.
I'm not up to date on Trigon's family tree, but this Wrath fellow seems a decent enough chap. Shame that Cersei wants him eviscerated. Get to work on that, would you?
Oh, sad story. Being this close to Trigon is driving little Raven mad. Her good and evil sides have materialized and are fighting for control. Cersei doesn't trust either aspect of Raven, but we certainly don't want her on Wonder Woman's side. Go pound her good side to a pulp. You'll find her footing about the mausoleum.
If it wasn't for the combat rating nerfs, then definitely these boss fights wouldn't be such an issue at all. Man, why they had to take that away from us? Oh well, complaining won't help.
Simon gives me the creeps.
I will banish them.
Jinx can be a bit odd, but she finds a way to stay grounded. I wonder if Gizmo can build a satellite dish that'll pick up my shows. If Mammoth steps on my foot one more time.
Mammoth, out of the fearsome five, Mammoth is my favorite. Excuse me. I thought these cultists were supposed to be associated with Further Blood and be on my side. Actually, no, I think these cultists are specifically the ones who work for Trigon's sons. Hey, don't be attacking me, you jerk. Wait, if I remember, isn't Amusement Mile? No, I'm thinking of the Queensland Boardwalk. Yeah, Amusement Mile is definitely here in Gotham. I was about to be confused at first, thinking, but wait, the Amusement Mile is supposed to be in Metropolis. Thinking of that area where you have to fight Gorilla Grodd's forces, but again, that's the Queensland Boardwalk.
Mausoleum of Robinson Park. This is where it happened.
Where what happened?
Where the Sentinels of Magic trapped Trigon. He's imprisoned deep below the Forum.
Don't squeak a word of this to anyone, but I'm not sorry that they trapped him here.
Good point. We can take advantage of the demon, like a mouse in a cage.
I can't remember how long it took me to realize that Cheetah's powers were associated with magic, but I still find it weird. I don't think it's ever been explained, however, how it is that Kartaga, a plant god, is able to give someone the powers of an animal, a cheetah. And yeah, there's that obvious little thing about animals, wildlife, jungles, and whatnot.
Some victims with unusually high levels of envy. It's so great that they viciously attack anyone who approaches. The cultists have been unable to harvest energy from these ferocious little kittens. That all that envy energy is just going to waste. Go get it. Destroy them if you must. But I want that energy!
Crazy thing, as far as like magic cults and whatnot, Xenorax would have no interest since her powers are not magical in nature at all. Like, they're divine to an extent, but they're not magical. And she wouldn't need any reason to use magic to increase her powers. Like, Xenorax is the kind to increase her power the old-fashioned way, through plenty of training and effort. And fighting strong opponents, even if she's not exactly battle crazy like Najax and Novar are. Novar are. But anyways, what the hell was I saying? Yeah, I forget. Oh, excuse me. But anyways, yeah, there's only like one character I have who's actually a magic-based villain who would enjoy working with
This
Cersei.
excess envy is connected to an artifact the cultists are using against their victims. I must have one of these artifacts. No, 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 I want all of them. Go get them.
I wonder if they could have made a power set centered around like creating black holes and creating dark energy and dark matter or black matter. Kind of like having a power that allows you to create black holes. Although it's been said that at its best, dark matter and dark energy are still just a theory. The theory that anything that throughout the universe that you can't see, that's just straight up blackness throughout the universe, and the observable universe at least, is composed of dark matter. And so in other words, dark matter and energy are just the matter and energy in the universe that you simply cannot see, and makes up a certain portion of the universe's overall mass, whereas light energy is all the stuff you can see, or light matter. Hell worker, wrecker, whatever. Yeah, I win, you demonic freak.
Oh, I do love adding beasts to my menagerie. I can't wait to play with it.
Especially you creepy. I don't know if everyone's told her yet, but yeah, she creepy, man. Wait, do I have the Speed Force ring? I hope I do. Yes. If anything, if Xenorex or any of my characters exist in the DC universe, Xenorex would definitely be one of the few not good guys. Where it's like it's mainly her reason for going after Captain Cosmic is just to take out her frustrations from the lack of her father being around, or their father. She would just use almost any opportunity to take it out on Captain Cosmic, not kill her, but just basically like your typical schoolyard bully who's jealous of other people.
I'm not very fond of Jared right now. Many of our cult of blood allies are converting to wrath, and the rest reveal themselves to be weaklings and cowards. Make sure none of those traitors return.
You just hit me with a hammer. A sledgehammer, of course. Oh, that reminds me, when Triple H, one of his things he was known to do was using a sledgehammer. Of course, it was always him just simply bonking them in the head with the handle. He never actually straight up swung it. Like, he would just jab people with the back end of the handle part, but he would never straight up swing it at people like he would swing a sledgehammer at a wall like you're trying to take it down. Haha, you may all be full of wrath, but you still don't have the power to match a demigod. Hey, God, goddess, who cares? Die, you vile demon! In fact, actually, out of the villains that I have, Xenorex would be the most willing to work with the heroes. She's almost like Najax in that she's more or less willing to not straight up like destroy the world or cause an apocalypse, but occasionally terrorize the populace, more for fun. I mean, of course, she still would not go to the extent that Najax would. Najax, Correa, and plenty of the other villains I have.
I do love adding beasts to my menagerie. I can't wait to play with it.
No, I think it was around during when I started going to the Conservation Corps. I believe, yeah, it was around that time. Watching Reddit videos, and it was in those Reddit videos, like r/and MK. What was it? Yeah, it was from MK. It was one of their videos I was watching, where one of the posts was a woman who contacted some kind of, I think it was like a house cleaning or carpentry business. Some business who offered her a deal, but some woman, the woman who contacted them, she didn't like their prices, thinking they were too expensive, and her argument was how she knew a business or knew a person who could do it for so much cheaper. Which, of course, it always bears the question of, if you know someone who could do it cheaper for a much better price, why not go to them? And she gets all mad and refuses to work with them and decides to go to this other person.
I know how much you enjoy breaking things. That's why I'm asking you to do this favor for me. There are several enchanted idols, each one depicting Jacob. The pitiful mortals are obsessed with them. They can't stop looking at them. I want you to shatter those statues and their dreams. That should send Jacob's cultists into a frenzy.
Man, Cersei has a lot of personality.
Not his face! Don't destroy his beautiful face!
Protect the idol.
Bunch of simps y'all are. I like fighting the imps in this area because they're so fun. And you can kick them afterwards.
Get away from him!
Destroy the idols. I hate seeing anyone or anything worship. Unless it's you. Find those responsible for these idols and send them a clear message.
Oh, I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, that Reddit video I was talking about. So the woman who contacts that carpentry / housework business, and they're replacing what their prices were, threatens how there's a carpenter or someone who does the same kind of job, but for a much cheaper price that she could go to. They say they don't care. They're not changing their prices for her. And so she ends up hanging up on them and goes to this other person. But yet it doesn't end there, because this person she threatened to go to, turns out they did a shitty job. So she contacts this other business. And what's crazy is that she was so entitled and full of herself throughout that endeavor. And that she was talking about how she needs her house done a certain way by a certain time for free. And the guy was saying how they don't take offers to do things for free, and she legit straight up told the guy how that wasn't a request and how she wasn't asking them, how she needs it done before her guests get there.
But there's one last thing. The Graven Succubus is responsible.
And I thought to myself, and I'm like, how is it? I'm thinking to myself, how is it that people's entitlement continues to amaze me just when I thought I saw it all? It is so weird how that works, where like in situations where someone clearly has no authority, therefore no business at all, giving someone orders. They demand something from that person, demand that the person do this and do that. And yet when said person does not give in to the demands, but they still have so much entitlement.
You should come see me.
And of course, as I said, I met plenty of people like that, where someone who's not my parent or any of the elders in my family, they come along trying to force me to do something that I know I have a choice in, or they order me to do something they have no business ordering me around with. And yet when I tell them no, or when I tell them otherwise, they act all surprised. They be all like, what? That's not how it works. Of course, they don't exactly say that, but you get my point.
Amazing.
Whatever.
Yeah, I really need to hurry up and get more source marks. There's so many forms of currency throughout this game. The one that's universal for just about everything being cash itself, like in-game money, as well as source marks. But then there's all the episode-specific currency. And all I can think is, give us a break. Why couldn't it be just regular cash and source marks just be universal for every place? For once, make it easy on us. Hey, why does Wonder Woman hurry up and marry Steve Trevor at this point? Like if Superman and Lois Lane can finally get married and have some time together, let Batman and Catwoman be a thing. Like, yeah, there's obviously some tension between them, some kind of romantic tension. But at this point, I'd say stop playing around with them and just let them marry each other. I know I full well I did all these with Xenorax already. I wonder why these keep reappearing. And that's weird. Apparently I did all the omnibus missions for this week, yet I only have 29 source marks. That be some high octane levels of bull. This game does not make it easy to obtain the things I want throughout this game. It really doesn't. Like, the gameplay overall is fun. The story modes are fun. But unfortunately, it's the way they handle, as far as being able to buy things, all the unnecessary amount of currency. And of course, it's not just this game, but like online exclusive or nearly online exclusive games, MMOs, they always do that. That's just the thing they're known for. Where it's not just whatever cash you get, cash, gold, coins, or whatever, the super common, easy form of currency to get your hands on. That's just for the most bare minimum basic of basic gear. So like when you're a beginner, and they just give you that stuff so you can buy the cheap gear for the easy beginner missions. But for the intermediate elite stuff, for the experts, the pros, the advanced players, as you get up, you realize there's so much more forms of currency that you need for all these other episodes or events they got going on. And it makes trying to keep up with all that so irritating to handle. Of course, what I want to know is, what do they have to lose by just simplifying it, where it's an MMO game but it's just one form of currency, where to buy this or buy that you need whatever kind of cash, whatever gold coins, tokens, or whatever. The stuff that's so commonplace within the marketplace. With the problem being that to get this or that gear, you either gotta accomplish this task or that task, these set of missions first, or you need this certain amount of money, even though it's ridiculously huge amount of money, or I don't know, stuff like that. Instead of it being where you gotta do all that stuff plus get that episode specific currency. And man, do they like making things difficult for players. But again, it's just to give players more stuff to do and look forward to doing, so that they will generate interest in said game to keep players interested for longer. So I think I'm gonna end it. I think I'm about to end this stream here. End it here. Take a quick break for a couple of hours, and then I'll definitely plan on playing Red Dead later. But I don't know if I'm gonna stream it. And we'll just have to wait and see. So to everyone who watched this stream, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you all have a good day. Talk to you in the next video.